Alright, so in this video, I want us to do this simple exercise that is going to test our understanding on what we've learned up to this point. And I'm saying what we've learned up to this point because being able to solve the problems in this exercise requires that you understand the list, you understand tuples, you understand dictionaries, you understand the looping that we've learned so far, you understand how to use some of the methods on the list data type. And so this exercise is meant to simply test your understanding so far. And so, like I always do, I'm going to tell you the instructions even though I'm showing it on your screen, and then I will solve some of them with you, and the rest I will still leave to you to do as an exercise. Okay, so the files are dictexercise.py. That is where we are going to write our code. And on the right, I also have dictexercisequestions.txt that has the instructions of what is expected of you in this exercise. So we are assuming that a company has conducted a test for its employees, okay? And the outcome of the test has been recorded in a dictionary called employees. Now I want you to study the structure of the dictionary very well. You can see that the key for the outer dictionary, because this is a dictionary of dictionaries, so the key for the outer dictionary is the name of the employee. So we have Jeanette, we have Stephanie, we have Rosina, we have Obed, and we have Sika. Okay, now for each of these employees, there is a dictionary that stores information about them. So there is, in that dictionary, there is the score, which is what the mark they obtained in the examination, and the department within the company where they work for. So Jeanette scored 69.5 and she works for human resource. Stephanie scored 75.9 and she works for the data science team. Rosina scored 76.2 and she works for the software quality assurance team. Obed 72.5 data science, Sika 71.9 office management. And so on the right, you are going to see the questions that you are expected to answer, and your solution is supposed to be a program that answers each of these questions. Okay, so I'm going to solve some with you, but even before you see my solution, why don't you pause here? Because if you continue playing, you will see my solution. So just pause, try them out, and then when you finish, continue watching this video to see my solution. Okay, all right. So I'm going to show you my solutions, assuming that you have tried it on your own, and I'm going to solve up to question 4 with you. I'll still leave question 5 and 6 to you to do as an exercise. Okay, so to solve question 1, so I'm going to use a comment here. I'll say solution for question 1. Well, it is asking for how many employees we have in the company. By looking at this employees dictionary, we can see that if I collapse it here, if I use this feature in Visual Studio Code to collapse them, you can see that we have 5 of them. But we don't want to do it by counting. We want Python to answer that for us. And you remember there is the len function that tells you the length of a dictionary. Regardless of the fact that this is a dictionary of dictionaries, the length is still 5 because it's going to count the keys in the outer dictionary to be able to come up with the length. Okay, so I will say number of students, number of employees, sorry. So I'm going to say employees count. Employees count is equal to just the length of the employees dictionary. And so I'll print F. Let me hide this side so that there is enough screen real estate. Okay, so I'll print F and I'll say there are employees count employees. Okay, so I'm going to run this program and let's see if we get it right. So I'll say Python 3 and then I will run dictexercise.py. And you can see that indeed there are 5 employees, so we get that correct. Okay, now we want to answer question 2. It says, what is the maximum score recorded? Well, we want to write a program statement to do that. So we are interested in getting the score for each of the employees, and we already know how to loop over dictionaries, right? So I'm going to create an empty list, and then we loop over each of these employee records, and then we get the score. Okay, so I'm going to say scores is equal to an empty list. This is how we create an empty list. Then I'll say for, and then I will say I'm going to loop over the item. So I'll say for employee name, so I'm going to say EMP name, and then EMP info, because you see the keys are the employee names here, and the values are these dictionaries that describes the score and the department that each employee works for. So I'm calling their names EMP name, and the EMP info is going to refer to the corresponding dictionaries that stores information for each of the employees. Okay, so in employees dot items, okay, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to append the scores, the score of each of them to the scores. So I'll say scores dot append, and then I'm going to get EMP info, then I will get the score. Okay, so this is going to get the score from Jeanette, score from Stephanie, score from Rosina, score from Obed, score from Sika, and all of them are going to be kept in the scores list. Okay, I'm doing that because there's a function that can easily give us the maximum and the minimum. So after that, I'm going to print just the scores here. It's not part of the solution, but I'm just printing it for you to see what we get in the end. So I'm going to clear screen, and you can see that indeed we get the scores for each of the students, the employees, sorry. So I'm not interested in this print statement. The question 2 says, what is the maximum? So I'll say solution for question 2. To get the maximum score, I'll say max score is equal to just call the max function and pass in the scores. And so I will print, I'll use F and say maximum score is, and then I'll bring the max score here. So max score. All right. So I'm going to run this program again, and we can see that indeed the maximum score is 76. Okay. Now the next question is, what is the minimum score? All right, so to get a minimum score, I'm going to bring a comment and say solution for question 3. I'll say minimum score. So I can simply copy everything here and change a few sections of them. So I'll change max to min, and I'll change max here also to min, because there's a function that gives us the minimum. And then I'll change this to min score, and I'll change this to minimum score. Okay, now let's run this. You can see that the minimum score is 69.5, which is scored by, I believe, Jeanette. Okay, all right. So what is the next question? It is asking for the average score. Well, the way we calculate average is to sum a list of numbers and divide it by the number of numbers in there. Okay, so we are going to answer question 4. So I'll say solution for question 4. Okay, and then the answer is going to be the average, and to do that we need to find the total score. So I'll say total score is equal to, there is a sum function, and then we pass the scores. So this is going to sum everything in the scores list and put it in total scores. And I'll say the average score. So the average score is going to be the total scores and then we divide that by the length of scores, because the length of scores will give us the number of scores that have been recorded. And now I can come here and print the average score also. So I'm going to change this to average, and I'm going to change this mean score to average score. Okay, and so I'll come in here, run this program again, and you can see that the average score is 73.2. That is the average that we get after we sum all the scores and divided by the number of items in the scores list. Okay, now for question 5 and 6, I'm still going to leave it to you because it will test how you understand the use of the if statement and what you know about lists and tuples and dictionaries so far. So for question 5, it is asking who scored the highest mark. Okay, so you know the highest mark is 76.2, and by inspection you can see that that was obtained by Rosina. But I don't want you to simply say print Rosina. No, I want you to write program statement to arrive at that answer. The same applies for the question 6 also, which I'm still going to leave as an exercise for you to do on your own. So thank you very much for staying with me. We'll take a quick break and I will see you in the next section where we start talking about yet another collection data type known as the set.